Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and in this video we're off on a road trip and I'm taking obviously the Porsche 930S. So yeah, Porsche Turbo. This trip was sort of half planned for last year because it was 50 years of Porsche Turbo last year, 2024, but we had an issue with the fueling on this car. It wasn't quite right and it didn't happen. But this year it is, and we've got a number of stops on the way, which I'll go through in a moment. Now, this car is looking particularly shiny because it's just come back from Topaz, and I'm going to explain a bit more as this video goes on about Topaz. But I had it done because the last trip we did in this car, we went to Spain and I couldn't get over how it suffered from stone chips all over the front valance, but particularly around these vents. And all here was completely peppered and big chips off the car. And I thought, well, I can't have that happen again. And if you watch the previous video, you'll know this is going to London Concours this year, beginning of June. And I thought, I can't do the trip we're planning without some protection. So I've succumbed. It's the first car I've had done with PPF, and it was pretty amazing. But more about that in a moment. So the first stop on the road trip will be Germany, Freisler Motorsport. And Freisler Motorsport did the restoration on this car 2019 and in 2020, and extraordinary job. I mean, it must be done on a rotisserie. Everything was done. Everything was renewed and checked over the car. The gearbox was rebuilt, the engine was rebuilt. It is extraordinary. It's like having a brand new 930S. So I'm going to call in there because I just wanted a little bit more of the backstory to the car, what it was like when they received it, the Kerry Morse connection, the Turbo S, explain all those sort of things. And they have the most extraordinary warehouse with engine. You can buy a Porsche 917 off the shelf and things like that, 934, 935 engines, yes, no problem at all. So we're going there. Then we're going to Porsche in Stuttgart, and I'm meeting the boss of Sonderwunsch, who's a Special Wishes program. So they're doing the limited special run cars, and this has history there. This is Porsche exclusive in 1989 that then became Sonderwunsch. So the ultimate editions of 911. From there, we then go down to Roof, because I want to talk to Mr. Roof and see about these wheels. The fact I've got original sort of the spec of this car, and it has 17-inch listed on the spec, and Porsche didn't do 17-inch wheels, they did 16-inch wheels, and I'm intrigued if Mr. Roof was actually supplying wheels for certain customers in 1989 to this Porsche exclusive, because it was after production it went to Porsche exclusive. Well, I'll explain more in the video. From there, it goes on, the trip gets better. We go up to San Moritz, up into the Alps, one or two passes we're going to do there before we drop down to Lake Como, because this coming weekend is the Concorso extravaganzas right around Lake Como. And there's obviously Villa d'Este, we all know about that one, but there is this new one, this Italian one, Furo Concorso, who started a few years ago, and that's really developed as well. And I am a guest of them. So lots to do. I think I'll just show you on a map, actually. Obviously, we're doing Eurotunnel first bit, down to here, just on the border. That's where Freisler Motorsport, Stuttgart, and then we go on to Roof, which is basically in this middle of nowhere where that A is. From the Roof there, which is basically in the middle of nowhere there, we head down near Innsbruck, head down, there's San Moritz, and then we come down to Lake Como. There, that's where we're going to be at the weekend, and all we have to do there is to get back to Le Havre on a Tuesday night, because I've got a ferry from there. And how we do it, we haven't quite decided, but anyway, that's the trip. So yeah, lots of miles, 1800 miles I think we're going to be doing in it. You're going to be joining us, and I just can't wait because this is such a good GT car. What I'm going to do now is actually drop in the filming I did at Topaz, because it's fascinating how they do all this process. I couldn't get over how many people are working on a car. I just thought it was one chap had put the film on. Not at all. Some cars had 4 or 5 people putting this film on. And then the next time you'll see us, we'll be in Germany, and we'll start with Freisler Motorsport. So see you then in the morning, somewhere in Germany. Well, I'm inside Topaz. There's lots of amazing cars I'd love to show you, but we can't. We haven't got owners' permissions and things. But it's all about the Porsche today. I've come down here because of these stone chips, and I've put off doing any PPF because I don't really understand it. I didn't have a very good experience years ago, decades ago, when they used to just do a little bit of film on the front. I thought, oh, I don't need this. But as I say, this got peppered with stone chips the last time I took it on that Spanish trip. I'm out on this next trip, and I thought, I can't do that again. And it's on display at a couple of Concours events in June as well. So Nabil, who is you started, come on in. Yeah,
How
good
you
to
doing?
meet you.
You all right?
Because you've been there right from the beginning. It's you started
right.
it, isn't it?
Yeah, we started, we've been about now 15 years we've been doing this.
Yeah.
So we started off detailing these beauties.
Yes.
And then we went from detailing to trying to protect them, and the wax wasn't lasting as long as we'd like it to last. And
so
then paint protection film.
It came along.
That's right, yeah.
I've had a tour here. The things I can't get over is how you're doing the whole car, and the film has progressed. You have a new standard of thing.
Totally. What your experience of
it
film
was like this on here,
literally
orange peel added,
and yellow. Just
yellow
plastic that was put on the car.
Yeah. But
it makes a massive difference now. It's a totally. I mean, you've had a look around, right? It's a totally different thing now. So
yeah, and we've brought this because this isn't a standard car.
Yeah.
And little bit I discovered about it, most people work off patterns.
Yeah.
And you can get that on a standard production car, mass produced.
Yeah.
Something a bit weird like this.
Yeah. That's right.
I've ended up here.
It's a bit different. So with this, obviously, how we do things at Topaz is we would like to pattern every single panel that we do. So basically, with a car like this, because it was handmade, you'd think this door would be exactly the same as that door. It isn't.
Yeah.
So you'd actually have to template this door and then also template the other door.
Surely, it's a 911. Surely that's all going to be the same.
I know,
isn't
you'd
it?
think so, right? You'd think so. I mean, it's not as bad as some of the older Italian cars that are there.
Well, the Countach,
Exactly.
I mean, that would be all over the place if you did that.
But it is still, because they are sort of this more manual labour when these cars were made. So there are some variances on the panels and stuff.
Let's have a look at the bit where the issues are. Obviously, this got absolutely peppered here.
Yeah.
And it's got a white underneath. So it was very noticeable on the red.
Yeah, you
so
see
that is fairly straightforward, I would suggest, isn't it? Just to get that.
It is straightforward from a perspective of, because it's a small piece, but if you have a look at where the film needs to actually go into,
right,
and it goes around to this side as well, it becomes a little bit more complex. It's trying to move the film without cutting on the car. That's really the trick.
Well, that's what I noticed. I had one, and it had little score marks.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're saying
that's right.
is just not here.
That's just you can't do that. That was just a rule 101 at Topaz. Is you can't be cutting on the car, because the whole point of you protecting the paint is to protect the paint.
Yeah.
And you can't be can't be damaging the paint whilst trying to protect it.
There was a scalpel, wasn't it? And
that's
they used
right.
to cut the film, and then they used to go through the paint, and then suddenly you see rust coming out.
That's right, exactly that.
Well, this is the main problem area.
Yeah.
And this is why I've ended up here.
Yeah.
Because it was on this edge, it got chipped.
Yeah.
It just gets it all from the front wheels, and what I couldn't get over, it actually got chipped in here
inside as well. Yeah.
And this is nonsense, really. This is a cutout. This blows air into around the engine bay. It doesn't actually get ducted anywhere, but this is what I love to protect. And they have a lovely shark fin on a normal turbo. Yeah. Well, this being a S has these things, and that's why I'm here. So you're going to do that.
That bit there. Yeah. And the funny fact you told me about that being made out of wood is also an interesting point.
Wood. Yeah.
There you go.
But you've got all sorts of things here, haven't you?
That's
going
right.
on.
That's right. Exactly.
So that's to adjust the suspension. So that bit comes out, but then. You're going to take that off, or will you?
Well, no, what we try to do first is, because depending on how much space we have, usually what we do is we'd lift up the rubbers a little bit and go just below the rubbers, depending on how much space we have with the rubbers. But most of the time, 99% of the time, we don't have to remove anything from the car, which is great, and that's what I like to do, to be honest with you. But things like this, as you told me, these are very easy, they can come out very easy.
Well, the man said they were.
Yeah,
exactly. I haven't actually taken them out.
Yeah, okay, I'm sure it's just from there. So
I see.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, if it's just through one screw, then we can take these out. We can get the film to go right up to this edge and create sort of a little wrap that goes around.
Okay.
And then put a separate piece inside as well.
Okay.
But what we were going to do actually on this area, because this is a sort of a high impact area, as I call it, we will double up the film. So we'll put the layer of film that goes around all the way. It'll be one piece that goes all the way up to the top, right? And then, one piece. So basically, it'll start from this point probably. Or actually, if it goes all the way inside, it'll go from this down here, all the way around, down to the back of where the light is.
Well, all the way here, around here?
All the way to this point, and back up. And they'll taper off over here.
Good grief.
That's one piece.
You're welcome to that job. I can't imagine doing that.
That's one piece. So once we do that bigger piece, we will then put more strengthening pieces on top of the film just to make sure that's doubled up. So, now you have, for example, on the ST, on the new ST and stuff, you've got literally the wheel, and on the GT3 RSs, you've got the wheel, the paint just behind the wheel. So we'd have to put a couple of layers of film there.
Oh, as well. Right. And so I've just brought this in. We traded it down. I've had the paint done.
Yeah.
What's your first thing you have to do to this thing?
What we're going to do is obviously we're going to check the car in. We'll take paint depth gauge, major measurements all the way around to make sure how thick the paint is all the way around, just so that we know what we're playing with. After that, we will then probably paint correct it to a certain stage. I mean, it looks like it's in good nick from this type of linear lighting. But once we put our sun gun, we call it a sun gun, where it's a replica of the sunlight. We'll get to see exactly where what's going on with the. That's right, exactly. But then we can rectify it. Once that's done, that's when we get to the protection stage. So it's detailing first.
Right. Okay. And the film, you're looking at almost every panel, aren't you? Because I'm just saying I want to protect this, but you don't. Yeah. You just think no, mate.
It's not. I mean, the things we talked about. It's right. It's one of those things where now it actually enhances the paint. So when you're putting it on, you don't want to have one area and then all of a sudden you'll have the wing gets chipped, or you'll get something small on the roof that gets one little chip, and you're like, oh my god, I did this, and I could have just done that. So it doesn't make sense. We've had it before.
Well, that's what we're doing. And apart from the rain gutter, isn't it? As I understand, that isn't going to get protected.
That's not going to get protected.
No,
that's the only bit that doesn't get protected.
That's it.
But it goes up basically on this section here. It'll go up to the character line, and it'll go all the way, obviously, onto the roof. So it's just literally this strip here that you won't put film on. But everywhere else, you'll basically have film on, including the headlights.
Oh, really? On the glass as well?
On the glass, yeah.
And I'm going to just talk in general terms in pricing.
Yes.
So when you get a car, how do you work out the price? Is it the size of the car? Is it the complications? How do you do it?
So what we do is we actually have categories. We have a category A all the way to a Z. Right, so it depending on how much category it is.
What, the Nissan Micra to the Zonda?
That's right, exactly, exactly. Right. And you've seen some Paganis over there, there's a lot more work on it. Right. For example, if you look at some of the more sportier track-focused cars, they have, we have 300 pieces. It's a Senna GTR, for example. There's like 180 pieces on the rear diffuser or something. It's incredible how many pieces there are. So it's not just the size of how much material, it's actually the amount of labor and complication.
Yeah, because Valkyrie I've seen.
Yeah, exactly. There. That's right. Yeah. So you saw on the underside of the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I didn't realise you did the whole diffuser, the whole thing.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So all that kind of stuff. It takes more time, but it takes more time of a senior installer, not a junior installer, which if it's something that's a traditional 911, that's a modern 911, a junior installer can start working on that and do a decent job on it, that's within our tolerances. But something like this requires a lot more experience to do it, because it will require patterning.
That's what I'm saying. And I think we discussed price around the £6,000 or something, because it's pattern. It would be 5 something if it was just conventional.
That's right, yeah.
So a Senna is up in
Senna's,
40.
yeah, exactly, that's right. Senna, depending on like a Senna GTR, it's a 10k plus. Yeah, so 11,000, 12,000, plus VAT, because of the sheer time it takes to do the work. Where a normal 911 will be sometimes be 4,500 plus VAT, right? Depending on the model.
Right.
So it varies a lot.
Good. Right. Well, I'm very grateful. I can't wait to see it, and I will test it.
Thank you.
On the way to Italy and
thank
back.
you so much for finally giving me the opportunity to do something.
It's taken 20 years to actually to do this. Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
I'm fascinated now, and it's been great to actually see just how much goes into it, and the fact that film's improved and still, it's really, really interesting.
But you're a technical guy, so you would have seen everything, and you would have noticed the whole aspect of how things happen, right? So it's quite interesting how it's all developed, right?
Yeah. Anyway, can't wait. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Really
Thank
nice
you. It's a pleasure. Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, morning from Germany. Yeah, last time we're in the garage, you've just watched that thing from Topaz when they're built going around this car. And we've done 650 miles yesterday, and you can see it's properly bugs time of year. I can't get over the amount of bugs we've got on here, and it's getting proper work out this film. I haven't touched anything on it yet. I haven't cleaned the car this morning. I'll probably clean the screen and things, because there is rain forecast. You can see all this grey over there. I think we've got rain in about half an hour or something. I can't get over also the work that went in by Topaz to get all this film on. I mean, the real proof of the pudding will be when I get home, and stone chips and whether there is any when I get to the London Concours lawn. That's for later. But today, I'll explain what's happening today. As this car was restored by Friesner Motorsport, and the town we stayed in here is where Friesner Motorsport are based. And the idea is to drop by there, see Manfred Friesner, that was my hope, and talk about the restoration and history on the car. Unfortunately, I have not managed to make contact with him. I have emailed Friesner Motorsport several times. I've notified them I'm turning up today. Previous owner has tried to contact them as well, and we did a drive-by last night, and it does look a bit close. I don't know if they're still operating, but I can look on Mobile.de, and they have cars advertised and wonderful Porsches, all sorts of competition cars. They are an extraordinary company, and I would dearly love to feature what they do, but I don't know how today's going to go. I ought to just mention the trip over here. Well, left the UK. We had to leave about 6 o'clock in the morning, but timing wise, beautiful day. And then you get UK road system nightmare, isn't it? M25 got diverted off because it was blocked around the houses, Bracknell, wherever, to get to Eurotunnel. And then you enter the sort of French motorway system and just glide along at 130, 140 clicks, and it's like heaven. You just think, what's gone wrong with poor old UK? Just the volume of traffic, I suppose. And this Porsche, in the UK, it's slightly frustrating because it's got really quite long gearing, and 70, 75 is just on the cusp when you're in fifth gear on the revs. Get to France on the higher speed limit, and you sing along at between 130, 140 clicks, 81, 85 miles an hour, something like that, and it's heaven. You're right in the sweet spot of the engine. You can add 10, 20 kilometres in an instant, but you don't want to, because that would be naughty, and really fantastic cruising across France. Then we get to Germany, we're just outside Strasbourg, about to cross the Rhine, and I knew there was a little stretch of de-restricted Autobahn to get to this stop here, and I thought I was really quite looking forward to it. I couldn't get over how little fuel I was using. It had been about 330, 340 since I last filled up, and just at that point, as we're going along the Rhine, the reserve light came on the petrol gauge, not the time you want to hit a de-restricted Autobahn. We then found some fuel. And the price of fuel, I couldn't get over. I put some Super Plus in it. It was €2.40 a litre. So I didn't put very much in. I put 20 litres in it. And we dived down the Autobahn, and it was so stable. We're not going for max speeds with this thing, because it's not Mrs. M's favourite pastime going at high speed. But God, it was stable. It felt fantastic on the Autobahn. I think we saw quick 230 kilometres an hour, something like that, but absolute rock stable, and just made for lapping up. And it's sort of opened my eyes to what this car is about. It's incredible GT. That's where turbo scores. It was in my top 3 or 4 cars in the garage to do a sort of crossing across France and into Germany. it's moved up, it's elevated up. We will be doing some more testing roads later in this review because we've got to get to Lake Como and we're going over San Moritz, but I'm going to watch the weather on that one because there's very heavy rain forecast and there's freezing temperatures, and I'm not sure that combination is a good time to be up in San Moritz, but that's Friday. Yeah, today's Wednesday, so we'll just keep an eye out on that. Well, so first stop, we're going to go to Friesener Motorsport now, and at some point we have to fill this thing with fuel because it's about empty on fuel, but fingers crossed we can get some in at Friesener Motorsport. Yeah, a bit cheaper here. It's 193.9 cents. So yeah, we've done, I think it's 386 miles since the last fill up, and I've put 20 litres in as well. Can't work it out in my head how much that is. I can't help but work out MPG on this after that crazy trip to Spain when I got it completely wrong. Basically, when Friesener Motorsport did the restoration on this car, I was reading it as kilometres because it says kilometres on the speedo and the odometer, but it's actually the original mileometer speedo in this car with a kilometre face on it. So although it says they're kilometres, they're not, they're miles. The calculations were completely out. 386 miles divided by 18.25 equals. Well, there you go. Yeah, very different to what I was experiencing in Spain. 21.15 mpg, much more like it and what I would expect as we were cruising down through France. Yeah, well, this is the industrial estate where Friesener Motorsport operate from. So they are very famous within Porsche circles. Manfred Friesener, they used to do a lot of racing and a lot of endurance racing, Spa 24 Hours Le Mans things. And yeah, there we are. There's a nice Porsche outside. I can see there's a turbo outside. Here we go, through the gates. At least they are open, they are operating. But what? Well, I like the door crest as well. Yeah, well, there we are. So I'm going to go inside and just see what reception I get, whether he's willing to talk or whether he'll tell me anything about this car. Fingers crossed. I really didn't know what to expect going to Friesener Motorsport, but I couldn't have wished for more. Manfred Friesener spoke to him for about an hour about this car, the Porsche, everything happening at Porsche. What an extraordinary place. I knew they had incredible stock there that I wasn't allowed to photograph within the collection. Oh my goodness, just dripping with 917s and things. It's a beautiful place. Engines upstairs available if you needed a crated 917 engine or 356 Carrera engine, they've got it there. But incredible conversation with him. One of the things he mentioned was the engine in this. So this is the 3.4 litre Weihart engine, as they term it. And I showed him the power graph and we were 391 horsepower. He says, "Oh, you're slightly down on horsepower." I said, "What?" He says, "Oh, I received a dyno from someone else with exactly the same car I built with the same engine. His car was 397 horsepower, so yeah, 6 horsepower down. Never mind, I think that's, yeah, but lovely to go through the history." So he's a factory gearbox and it's brand new. He restored it right through, and yeah, it is Turbo S as far as he's concerned because of the spec of the car. He didn't know the very early history of the car. It had the vents when it arrived with him for restoration, so that's good to know that it did have the Turbo S pieces on it when he received it. But utter guru on everything Porsche. And yeah, if you get a Friesener Motorsport restored car, I think you have one of the very best Porsche experiences going. Anyway, we're now heading to Stuttgart. It's starting to rain as forecast, so a fairly steady route up the Autobahn to Stuttgart. I am now at Porsche Classic, somewhere I've been itching to visit. And yeah, we're going to have a look around. We can't really show very much of the workshop because there's a number of sort of secret commissions, shall we say. But I just want to find out more about what they do here and just this connection with Sonderwunsch. So this is the Sonderwunsch program. This brochure, I think, is 1984. And that is the sort of where my car was created under this Sonderwunsch exclusive banner back in the 80s, and it seems as though it's coming back, and they're not only doing classic, they're doing more modern cars. But anyway, Philip Setter, I'm just going to meet in a moment. He's going to give us a tour around and we'll discover the secrets of Porsche Classic. Philip, where are you? There you are. Hello, thank you so much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming.
Well, it's a pleasure. No, I couldn't keep me away, really.
Yeah, my role is basically with Porsche Sonderwunsch working with customers. So I'm leading the customer consultation team, and this includes everything from classic restoration all the way to our newly launched Sonderwunsch one-off cars. So completely new cars.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have had a quick preview and I couldn't believe some of the cars you've got in there. Not cars I expected to see here at all.
Yeah, and we have this location a little hidden somewhere outside of Stuttgart. Of course, we have the big factory in Zuffenhausen. Yeah. But here the secret space is...
It's very secret, and I got lost on the way here, and I'm a little late.
But you found it, glad you found it.
I did, finally. I found myself in a field, but yeah, not far off. Yeah. I can't get over the variation in cars you've got here.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I thought it'd just be 356 and early 911s, 2.7 RSs, but yeah. Over there.
That's what a lot of people are mistaken, because Porsche Classic is basically dating back to 356s, but you've seen the Cayenne sitting there, you've seen a Carrera GT. Actually,
several.
Even the 918 is even a classic model by
918?
Now.
Wow. Wow.
But unfortunately, I cannot show you all the cars, but this one is also a very nice and beautiful one. And
it's a stunning colour. Absolutely
definitely
stunning
depicts what Porsche Classic and the factory restoration program stands for, because this is almost finished. So we recreate and we redo cars that have been on the road for several years.
Right.
And once they come here, they're usually completely dismantled. Preserved, so they go through the cathodic dip coating, stuff like that. When you talk about factory restoration, it's always the point of becoming the car, putting the car back in the state it has left the factory back then.
Right.
But another program we have is called factory recommissioning. So Sonderwunsch factory recommissioning is basically when you decide, I don't like the orange anymore, or maybe the seats are not that comfy anymore. Then you can still put your car in our workshop, have it restored. So we do still do the technical checks, but it might come out in green with yellow stripes, or let's say a brown interior.
Well,
so it's up to you, basically, whatever you want to create and decide on.
So are you finding people aren't actually as focused on absolutely as original now?
I think there's a tendency. I mean, there's always the thrive for originality. Yeah. So especially for the 356s and some prestigious cars. But we see, as on the Cayenne, for example, the Carrera GTs, we see a major trend where this is actually changing, and people would like to be more individual, create something more unique. Let's put it this way.
Right. I could have that done anywhere, but so how do you sell? Why do people come directly to Porsche to have that sort of thing done?
Well, it's first of all, we have all the tooling, we have all the expertise. I mean, you've seen so many engineers working here. They definitely know what they're doing. And don't want to say anybody out there doesn't know what they're doing, but this is a different kind of training they get in here. Plus, of course, when the car leaves our premises, it will be documented as an officially recommissioned, restored car by Porsche AG. Right. So this is definitely something that makes it even more
going forward.
More prestigious, more original.
Right. Yeah. And I saw 959s over there as well. Is that something? Is that a servicing, or is that being recommissioned? Those sort of cars.
It could be from till everything. Yes.
Is it?
We've not seen any 959 recommissionings yet, but we'll see where this is going.
Right. Well, you've got several over there, but they're just been
serviced and
serviced.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right. We actually do that for the 959. We also do that. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest shock to me was seeing the Cayenne. That was one car I did not expect to see.
That was an eye-opener, right?
It was. I mean, the 3.8 RS I saw as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love that Sonderwunsch program is sort of coming back. I brought this brochure. This is 1985, I think this was. Yeah. So you have some idea. Well, you can tell it's the 80s, can't you? Look at that, all white
the
interior.
white leather interior.
Yeah, and all the wood. Who would have thought they'd have? I've never seen a car with any of that today.
Oh, actually, we've had some requests lately with the white leather.
Oh, do you?
So especially the seats and the glove compartment, so the lower part of the interior.
Oh, okay. Yes.
We don't want to get the reflection on the windshield, so we're not going to do any more of the black, not any more of the white on the top parts. But this is definitely something that's coming back.
Well, and I can't go. Also, when this came with the price list, and I was looking at the Fachbau. Yeah, it was an option. It was 38,000 Deutschmarks in 1984. That's quite a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah, and
this is the entire front body, right?
I suppose, yeah. And then the upgrade on the engine was 20,975. I'm not quite sure how much the vents were though on the rear wings.
I'm pretty sure it was Deutschmark.
Yeah, that is Deutschmarks. Yes, we are in Deutschmarks. We're not in euros just yet, but yeah. Can you give a ballpark for full restoration if I brought my Tati 2.7 RS to you? Where is it? Within hundreds of thousands. Is it 300?
Well, we usually say there's like a minimum we have to consider.
Right.
This could easily be 300,000.
Is it?
And this is not knowing what might be awaiting us once we open up the car.
Wow.
So obviously, if you open up the engine, this is where the surprises usually happen.
Yes.
If you take down the paint, this might actually bring some surprises as well.
On the bodywork.
And unfortunately, we had some cars in here that looked from the outside in a perfect condition. And then the paint was removed and did not look that perfect anymore.
No, I've been there. Yes.
And then it's a constant discussion. Do we still want to proceed? It's not going to be the same price as we assumed in the beginning.
Wow.
But at the final end, our goal is to have set up a perfect car again.
Yeah. And you've got new panels. This is a new panel, isn't it? No, you actually create these panels at Porsche.
We do this with several parts, yeah. I mean, we have a certain demand for certain parts, and of course some of the suppliers are just not there anymore. So we create certain parts and have them redone. We even go into new technologies like 3D printing, whatever is most efficient and works out best. But we're creating entire body parts.
Philip, thank you for that. Lovely the tour round and having seen what you're up to. Yeah, long may it continue.
A pleasure.
They said I could park the car under cover. I wasn't quite expecting the type of cover they'd organised. This is the Porsche Museum and it's dry under here, and yeah, I love the mirror reflection of it up there. This is the epicentre of Porsche. If you swing round, you'll see the sculpture. I thought it was the identical sculpture from Goodwood and transported over here. Apparently not. It's all redone by the same artist. He created it up there, and they have to actually maintain it. So they have to clean the cars and make sure there's no bird nests and things in there. Porsche factory, obviously, we've probably all seen it, but that is the production line, 911 line in there. That building, that brick building, is the original building for build, and then there's Works 1, which I've just visited, which is where Sonderwunsch were, the epicentre of Sonderwunsch, the special wishes car, and that is just up this main drive here on the left hand side. And I can't show you it, I can't put my car in that courtyard. I've been there. It's sort of in a courtyard, and it's where Sonderwunsch was based for 3 years. It's under a major revamp, and there's all sorts of works going on, and it will be coming back there as well. And that's where, this Sonderwunsch on modern cars, that's where you pick your cars up. But this is where they build them, and this is the museum. And doesn't it look smart? My car looking there. I've asked them if they want to borrow it, and they could store it over winter and things. I think they've got some other more interesting Porsches in, and I can't also the weather has changed, the rain has arrived, and you'll see there's no bugs on it at all. So I think that PPF is like super slippery, and the bugs all disappear. Anyway, what we're doing next is, having seen the Classic department, we're now up to their storage department, and I'm going to see the cars that are not in the museum. These are cars very special in the collection, and I'm intrigued whether they have some of the flak bow and the Sonderwunsch cars from the 80s. That's what I'm hoping, and that's the next stop. I'm at a building that I can't tell you where, but in here are part of the 800 cars that Porsche have in their collection. There's about half of them here. I could spend days in here. I just haven't got time for this video to do that, but there's some highlights in here. I walked past this as well. This is Porsche 914. I had a Volkswagen Beetle with the same wheels, the Gene wheels, so that was nice to see. And then at the other end of the scale, look at these Porsche 959s. This is a Group C study they did. This place, there are several Porsche 959s in here. But yeah, well, I'm looking at this Sonderwunsch and this idea of how it came about and the type of cars they did. There is not a flak bow. Unfortunately, the 930 flak bow is not here. But it was the specialist car when they added that much extra to the cars. This, for example, this is a 964 turbo 3.6, and this is Sonderwunsch interior. You see the yellow interior, and he was telling me that we're discussing, when did Turbo S first get to be used on a turbo officially? My car, Turbo S, but it was more of a marketing spiel. It wasn't actually badged on the outside of the cars. Son also did the 10 Turbo S 930 Turbo S's, but again, they weren't particularly different to the standard car. But when we got, this is 993, if you just swing around, this was Turbo S. So this was badged, and it was, once they got the S signature, it was the extra special, extra horsepower, and particularly with 993, I always wanted one of these, having owned a 993 Turbo, but this got trick suspension, lowered, the yellow calipers with a signature on this car. Still steel rotors, but you know, it became a signature, didn't it? The yellow caliper being with CCM brakes. But yeah, this, look at it, look at it. The cars in here, this is the first Porsche Turbo. This is very Porsche's Turbo, this green, tartan interior, 3 litre, and this car, they've modelled the 50th anniversary on it. Tartan interior is an interesting one, because there is some people saying that it was from the design department, but it was something at the very start of Porsche Turbo production. They got those tartan interiors. Oh, I've just, yeah, if you notice this car, if you swing round to this side, you think, hang on, it sort of looks normal 911. Look at the size of that rear window. Look inside. This is another of those 4-seater 911s. I thought there was only the one in the museum, but yeah, this is 911S 4-seater, hidden away in here. What have we got here? Wide body speedster, yeah, same age as my car. Yeah, obviously I could spend hours in here. I would love to. They've very kindly given me an invite to come back and perhaps do something in more depth here. Today was all about Sonderwunsch, finding out of what was going on in that heady 80s, and well, how it drifted into 90s and how it's been brought back to life today, and the cars they're doing, and doing more on Classic. It strikes me it's a booming business for Porsche, Sonderwunsch and the Classic division. But what a treat to be able to see all the cars in here. So much to talk about. Concept cars over there, I haven't touched those. The race cars are over there. There's all sorts in here. But yeah, that is the end of this video, having a look at what is Sonderwunsch today at Porsche and what it was in the 80s. Lovely to see these cars. Never thought I'd see them. And tomorrow we go down to the roof and discover what's there. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, well, keep watching, keep subscribing. Thank you for all the subscribers, well over 800,000 subscribers now, because there'll be more videos coming along very soon. Wow.